Hello, my name is Kiriath, and today we are going to have a little chat about books. Books on books, if you will, because this weekend you'll be able to pre-order Codex Drukhari and Warzone Charadon Act 1, The Book of Rust. Which means, if you are a Drukhari player, you will have to drop 50 quid to be completely up to date with all of your 9th edition rules for your faction. Which is not a good look. Now, I will say before we go into this that I suspect in this specific instance, this might not be something that was actually originally planned for. The fact is that having a book that gives you additional rules for your faction drop on the same day that that faction gets their own codex for the new edition, it doesn't look great, does it? Let's be honest, it's not the best look in the world. And I think probably Games Workshop do know that. I am prepared to give a bit of leeway in this specific instance because things have not been easy over the last 12 months, have they? I mean, Games Workshop is, first and foremost, a miniature-making company, which for quite a significant, I would suggest, for any business chunk of time, was unable to sell any miniatures. They couldn't do anything. They couldn't make anything. They couldn't bring anything out. They were just stuck, like the rest of the world, in limbo land whilst we waited for things to slowly get better. And what is it? It's March. It's March. It's been a year. Do you remember when, I mean, if you're in the UK, when we were told we were going into lockdown for 3 weeks, and we all thought, oh man, 3 weeks sounds like a long time, but you know what? It's not too bad. Oh dear. Oh dear me. That went well, didn't it? Anyway, it's not been great. There's been delays, there's been stuff pushed back. They've had issues with the Death Guard Codex releasing as well, as we know that was pushed back to delays as well. It's not been easy, and I suspect that had none of that happened, had this just been a standard year, the last 12 months had just been normal, I don't know that we would have got, the Book of Rust on the same day as the Drukhari Codex. But we have. We have, and it opens up a precedent that I don't really like, to be honest, which is the idea that if you want all the rules for your faction when their codex comes out, there is a chance that you will have to pay 50 quid for it on the same day. 2 separate books, both containing new rule sets for your army. That is a trend I do not want to see continue. That does not feel right at all. There's also a whole thing to go into about the idea of introducing a new campaign when so many armies don't have codexes yet. Like, I know full well you can use your 8th codex in 9th, it's all compatible, etc, blah blah blah, we know. But what is going to be better for a faction? What is going to be better for an army? A few supplemental rules out of a campaign book or an actual codex? Which of those two do you think you would prefer to see first? I mean, speaking for myself, I would much prefer to see the codex before I saw supplemental rules, which were no doubt developed in tandem with the codex that I currently don't have access to. I would much prefer to see the full rule set, not like, say, an army of renown to go with my now out-of-date codex. That it feels like it's the wrong way around to begin with, and then it just gets worse when you consider that if you want to have all of your rules legit as a Drukhari player, you have to drop double the cost. You have to pay double. You have to buy both books. If you want every bit of info, every bit of up-to-date rulage for your lads and lasses, you've got to pay that extra. That's not great. There's no way to slice it where that doesn't look kind of bad. And even if it wasn't intentional, which I'm genuinely of the opinion it probably is not what they'd originally intended, the fact is that's how it looks now. And as I say, it does set something of a precedent. And if there's one thing that I don't think we need, it is the introduction of like kind of day one DLC practices for any sort of, I was going to say for 40k, for anything really. It's a crap practice that has just become prevalent in the video game industry, and it's not something that I think we really want here. It's not something that I would particularly look forward to seeing more of. It could be, in fairness, that there is a significant number of people who look at it and go, well, you know what, I actually don't care about the Cult of Strife. I'm not too bothered. I'm not like invested in the idea of having every single thing right there at my fingertips day one. I'm perfectly happy with just the Codex, and that's absolutely fine. I'm not suggesting that as a Drukhari player you should you should somehow be pushed into buying both, whether you like them or not. That's not what I mean at all. But it's the worry I have is that if it's just a blanket acceptance of, oh, well, I mean, it's double the cost, but it's fine. I don't want this to become a habitual thing. I don't want this to be a recurring theme where Book 2 for Warzone Charadon comes out alongside another codex, and we end up with more supplemental rules for factions that don't have their 9th edition codex at all, and also at the same time having to get both the books at the same time to be able to have access to all of the rules for a particular faction. Obviously, things like campaign books and stuff and supplemental rules, they're going to be a thing forever. It's not like that's going away. Games Workshop have done enough of these things in the past that we know full well that that's how the cycle goes. We've got the codexes, we've got the campaign books. The campaign books act as supplements, they have additional rules, relics, all of that stuff. That's just one of those things. But there, to me, is a difference between getting your codex and then a month, 2 months, preferably down the line, finding some fun extra supplemental rules. There's a difference between that and needing to pay double the cost straight away to have access to all of that. It's even though really it's just the look of it, and I fully accept that it is just the look of it more than anything else. It just doesn't look good. It looks greedy, and it looks like something is being pushed. It looks like it's a case of, well, now what we're going to do is to make it even more enticing, is we'll drop both at the same time. Don't necessarily think that's true, but unfortunately that's the appearance that's being given, and it's something that it's not just the appearance that I think is being given to me to some extent, even though I'm trying to kind of almost not talk myself out of it, but acknowledge that things have not been the way that Games Workshop would have originally planned for over the last 12-month release cycle that they have. It's something that I'm seeing echoed a lot everywhere, that now it's a case of it's not just books on books on books, that you've got a bunch of stuff you need to carry around with you to have access to all of your rules and like all of the information you need. You've got multiple books to have to cart around and keep track of. Now it's not just that, the books are dropping on the same day, and there's already quite a bit of pushback to that. And I think rightfully so, but I just really hope this doesn't become a trend. Because even if Warzone Charadon is really, really good, which I'm hoping it is, it still feels off. It still doesn't feel quite right to have to pay that double cost on the day to get everything you want for your faction. Just doesn't quite sit right. But question is, what do you think of it? That's the main thing. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. In the meantime, feel free to click all the things. You know the drill. There's an affiliate link in the description for Element Games, which supports the channel, so you could use it if you'd like. It's entirely up to you. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.